I'm Andrea Schneider, and I want to introduce my dear friend Michelle. So, Michelle, what is your name?
Hi, everybody. This is Michelle Hayner. I go by Michelle Lawson Speaks Hayner sometimes, and I'm the founder of Breast Cancer Champions, and I'm glad to be here today.
Great. So, today we're going to talk a little bit about fear. So, Michelle and I actually have never met in person. We've become friends over Facebook and then conversations over the last year or so. And we have something in common that we're both breast cancer thrivers, I'd like to call us. Women who've had breast cancer, successfully had treatment, and feel that we're on the other side of that. And part of what we like to do is give back to other women of how they can get to the other side of feeling, sometimes feeling the fear, that's what we're going to talk about today, feeling the fear, pushing through it, getting past it as best as you can, and maybe some techniques that can help you do it. So Michelle, give us some thoughts on fear.
Well, I'm really excited, Andrea, because I was thinking about this since we talked. There is so much fear in the world, period. That to just kind of whittle it down like we are because of being breast cancer survivors is the only way I think that we're ever really going to be able to address this topic, but it might help other people is what I'm saying. So when it comes to fear and the whole idea, I came right down to one word that I'd like to use as kind of like a guiding board, platform to jump off into, whatever. That word's information. We have a culprit when it comes to fear. We have a catalyst. I'm having a hard time with my words today. Guess I should claim chemo brain quick, huh?
That's okay, you can, yeah.
No, we have information issues, let's say that way. We have misinformation, and we have omission of information. Those are two. Like we're going to write an outline that's Roman numeral 1, Roman numeral 2. To me, misinformation is when you're given information by your or from your oncologist, physician, primary care, your medical team, and that information does not apply to you for some reason. Okay, I'm just going to keep it condensed here. Am I making sense, Andrea?
Yeah, and you're speaking from a medical background. You were a nurse. You still are actually a nurse.
I'm a practicing nurse. I'm actually not actively practicing because of my breast cancer journey, but I have over 25 something years worth of experience. Some of that being military. So as far as the misinformation, I have found that a lot of women tell me things that scared them or caused them to become fearful, and that information did not serve them properly. It was misinformation to their situation. Now we're going to jump into quickly going into the other reason I find women, patients in general, to be fearful or have fear, anxiety, you name it, depression even, is omission of information. And every medical person who practices, and this is my strong opinion, they owe it to their patients to make sure they tell their patient everything they know about that patient. That means when I walk out of my doctor's office, I shouldn't have to turn around and say, well, what about this, doc? Or what about that, doc? Or a lot of people are telling me, well, my doctor never told me that, or my nurse said this to me. I'm going to add a little humor here because I think our topics can get quite heavy, and I think humor is a healing thing. So here we go. Yesterday, and I don't want to get into my situation really in depth other than the fact that yours truly is back into the medical world actively as far as treatment and stuff goes. We don't know what we're dealing with yet, but we'll get there. So yesterday, I'm told by a medical professional that the doctor I was referred to is not a oncologist. This doctor is an orthopedic doctor, and he's not an oncologist according to my oncologist who's been treating me for a couple of years now. So I'm sitting here with what? What kind of information did I just get? Misinformation from a medical professional who I end up being and I hate to say this word because I'm not a victim at all. I'm a warrior. I'll never be a victim. But now I'm sitting back going, what is going on? I have questions now because of what a medical professional said. Catch my drift?
Right, right. And
So,
that was one of the reasons, like, and I know you've read my book, that I wrote my book about breast cancer years ago because I realized if you don't ask the right questions, they don't just offer you information. And part of it is, we put doctors on a pedestal and they're so busy and we don't expect maybe so much from them. Oh, they're too busy. They can't spend the 20 minutes, half hour just giving me information. But really, what's different about them? Or then why not have the nurse or the nurse practitioner give you the information? Someone needs to be giving you correct information like you talked about. That would help eliminate some of the fears or not give you misplaced fears if they give you wrong information.
Right. And you're paying for it. That's the deal.
Yeah.
I hear people say all the time, in fact, because I'm such an active type of person, I participate, I ask questions. I'm the patient they fear.
Right.
Now, I'm talking about myself, okay?
Right.
Because, like I said, I'm a nurse. Now, I remember when I was busy, when I was overstressed, had too many patients to take care of, or something was going on, the last thing I didn't want to see was, or hear was someone walk up and say, hey, I have a question, can you take a minute? I'm like, no, I'm busy saving someone's life. Get away from me,
Until you're the patient, then you want them to spend as much time as possible with you.
Yeah,
right?
Now we understand it.
It changes. And, if every doctor or nurse or someone was a patient at some time, they would see how it comes, if they put themselves in that person's shoes, how it feels to be on the other end. And we're not trying to bash medical professionals. They certainly do a great job and they're needed, but sometimes
we're here to help. Yeah.
We're talking about women right now. Women have to be more proactive. They need to stand up for what they want and not be afraid to ask the questions, get the time necessary to get your explanations, and know that when you go into a doctor's office, they're probably not going to just sit down and tell you everything there is to know about breast cancer or your situation. You need to be prepared before you go in. But we're getting a little off topic, and I want to do more about fear. And so you've talked about fear and fears that come up. And of course, when you get a breast cancer diagnosis, or you hear the word cancer, and especially when it's for you, there's going to be fear. And we all have fears in life in general, some of us more than others, and some on a daily basis. You could be afraid to go out of your house. You could be afraid to run. You could be afraid that you're going to run out of money, that you're not making enough money, that you're going to die, whatever the fear could be. And what I've recently been working on is how do we push past that fear and how do we take action? And that's kind of the key, is where I'm going with this. And what I'm realizing is you can have the fear and you can let it stop you, and it could cripple you that you don't even want to get out of bed, whatever the fear may be, your health, your finances, whatever it is. Or you can say, you know what, I'm going to push through this fear. And what I'm finding is the best way to push through the fear is to take action. So whether it's your diagnosis, whatever, take action, take responsibility, do something, and think about what are 2 things I could do now to take action and move forward. And I'm reading different books and personal development. I'm finding they really help. And so what I'm also realizing, and this is almost so common sense, probably the rest of you all know this, but that what you focus on is what I'm not going to say like you focus on breast cancer, you're going to get breast cancer, but your thoughts are really important. So what you focus on, if you focus on, you know what, I'm going to have great health. Well, that doesn't mean you're instantly going to have great health, but you're going to start moving towards that, as opposed to if you keep focusing, oh God, I just feel so awful, I can't even get out of bed. You have to change your mindset. And so one of the things I've come across that I find a key little description to me goes thoughts, feelings, actions, results. So we got to change those thoughts in our head to get more positive thoughts. So we have the thoughts, and they're the opposite. We're trying to get away from fear, so we're thinking of gratitude, things that make you happy, whatever it is that you can change your thought process away from the fear, and you have the thought. And then you have the feelings that go with it. So when we have fear, we have anxiety and we have negative feelings. But so now we're going to try and switch our mind, just like a little light bulb, to feelings of happiness, or just switching to abundance or gratitude of some other thought. So if we're worried about our health, then we would switch to something else we're thankful for. So maybe it's that you were really feeling terrible, but now you're actually able to get out of the house. So you're thinking about, wow, this was really fun. I got out of the house. And you're changing to a positive thought process, and you're taking actions, and your actions then will go along that way. And then you get results. Every day you're feeling better and better, and you're getting rid of the fear. So Michelle, what do you have to say along those lines?
I think that's excellent. That switching, being in control of your thoughts, keeping them as positive as possible. And we all know that there is going to be a time and a moment when you're going to be fearful, you're going to feel the anxiety. We all know that. We're human. We're not super women. We have human emotions, human feelings, human reactions. So keeping everything as positive as you possibly can, staying in control of your situation. I always tell people like this: this is my body. It was given to me. Therefore, I'm in charge of it. I had a nurse one time, and I'm not even going to mention the group, but one of the first things that she told me when I started my cancer journey was that you will never have control of your body, no, control of yourself again.
Really?
Yeah, that was a pretty inflammatory response if you want to think about it.
Not appropriate.
That was pretty bad, and being the military-minded, the history of my military background and everything, control is something that you're going to take my control away from me? I don't think so.
Right. And so for you, it might have worked opposite, that you maybe, but
no,
some
it didn't. No, it didn't. I'm just, I'm a veteran, but you know what? I'm human, and feelings. And what happened was my response was for me to break down. I was talking to her on the phone, and I just immediately broke down into tears as I was telling her, "You're not taking my control from me. I will not let you." But I was sobbing at the same time. So what was my response? Fear. Right. And who gave me that fear? My healthcare worker, a member of my medical team. And like you were saying, we're not here to attack the medical world, but we're here to be brave enough to say something's wrong in the medical world. And we're breast cancer survivors. We were there. We are there in your system. And we need you to listen to our voices because it's our bodies. And we can help you provide more, quality care. We have to learn to have a voice as women. You got to quit sitting back and saying, well, I'm not sure what I'm going to say. Should I say that? Or, well, I didn't ask questions because I was afraid to ask that doctor. I mean, he's the doctor. And I'm thinking, so you let him cut off your leg? No, that's exaggeration. But that's what we're talking about here, ladies. We're talking about empowering you so that you can stand up confidently, and when a doctor, or like in my case, a nurse gets in your face and says, I'm in control of you from now on. You know what to say back. I hope that helps someone out there. I really do.
Well, and I think the points that Michelle and I are trying to make, and I hope you all take this in the right context, is that you do need to empower yourself. Only you can do that. You need to be preventive. You need to be thinking about what is the best course of action for you, and you need to maybe do some research and figure that out, and look to other ladies who have had success in their health. Like, I'm an 8-year survivor, thriver, I like to say. Michelle's about 2 years. So go to women who have walked the walk and what they've been doing, and see what they're doing in their lifestyle. Sometimes we have to be proactive, most of the time, and we might have to make some lifestyle changes. It might mean losing weight.
Yeah.
Take better care of yourself.
Either. You don't have to be nasty about it.
We're
women. We're full of grace. We're full of beauty. So, but we can stand up, and we can take control of our lives.
Right. And so, and part of that is empowering that you have the right as a patient to talk to a doctor, talk to a nurse, get the right information, and then you got to take action. It's not all on them. We have to take personal responsibility. So some of it is educating ourselves, learning what we can't do. And I'll give you an example. Michelle just made me think of something. Soon after I was diagnosed, I didn't realize after a double mastectomy, or I started researching and realized I really shouldn't have blood pressure done on either arm. They really should, when you've had lymph nodes removed, or especially you want to get lymphedema.
Right.
And so a nurse, no one ever told me that. I researched that, found that out myself. So then I needed to have my blood pressure done. And I went, and it was on a Friday, and the nurse, I said, well, do you think you should do it on my leg? So she, oh, okay. And she was a nurse that should have known. She was working in the surgical department in reconstruction. So she was dealing with mastectomy patients all the time. But when I told her this, she did not know about not doing blood pressure, blood draws on the arms. So anyway, so she got a regular cuff and she did it on my leg. Well, then it had my blood pressure sky high, and she said, oh, you better see your regular doctor on Monday.
Yeah.
So we talked about fear. I went home and she goes, you need to just rest the whole weekend. So I thought, oh my gosh. So all I did was lay on the couch and think, oh my God, I could have a heart attack, a stroke. I got to just lay here. And then I did go Monday, and I got a nurse who knew what she was doing. She said, for one, when you got to use the proper leg cuff, and it's always going to register higher on the leg than it does on the arm. Your blood pressure is fine. But, just by her putting that in my head, I now had the fear, and I lived up to what I was expecting. So we got to do the opposite of fear sometimes. So, Michelle, take it away.
Fear is damaging. Thanks for sharing that story, because I don't know how many times, I just want to point out what I have. I'm wearing, I don't know if this helps at all. This is a sleeve, a lymphatic sleeve. It's to help with edema, to keep the edema in control. And every breast cancer survivor, anyone who's had any lymph nodes removed, it's possible that you will develop lymphedema, and it's a very painful, and it is a very painful situation, and it is not curable. They're not going to be able to fix it once you develop it, and so it's a lifelong situation because of you having treatment for breast cancer. But the fear itself, if you look at how negative thoughts and positive thoughts affect your body, and yes, it does. It does. They've had studies, and they've done these studies where they've watched the negative thoughts go through someone's brain and see the damage that is being caused from prolonged negative thought processes.
Right.
When you have fear, okay, which is what we're talking about, let's talk about the fear of dying, okay? Your body goes into an immediate response. Now, don't tell me it's not important if my body's reacting from it, okay? So what happens to my body when I'm afraid? It goes into a fight or flight response. Adrenaline courses through your system. It's rushing through your blood. It's going out to your different parts of your body, because you've got to decide if you're going to fight or run.
Right, fight or flight. Right.
Yeah, either way. Having this adrenaline released into your system is not something that you want to have happen every day. We can look at a bunch of people who have used this adrenaline in inappropriate ways, and it's damaging to the body.
Right.
So we want to look at the fear situation. We want to find out what's causing us to be afraid. I mean, Andrea, if you will allow me quickly to say, there's another thing as far as what can help you with your fear, dealing with your fear, that you didn't cover, which is fine, but I want to talk about people's faith system, support systems. It's very, very important for you as a breast cancer survivor or patient to have a support system that you can rely on.
Oh, exactly. That's extremely important.
And if you don't have one, you need to find one. And it's, we have...
And I think we're going to touch on some things, and for each woman, she's going to have to make her decision of some things she wants to integrate into her life that can help her. We could give you some pointers today, but you got to, see what feels good for you and what works. like I recently started reading a book called Ask and It Is Given.
Hmm.
Really powerful.
Hmm.
Something I wasn't open to years ago about, it almost sounds too weird. Maybe I've lived in California too long, about increasing your own vibration and your own thoughts and the positive thoughts.
Oh,
And another one, and that one was by Esther and Jerry Hicks. Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by
yep.
Susan Pepper. So what we're talking about, fear, very, very good stuff. So start listening to things, looking for resources.
Reach out.
Maybe meditate. Michelle was talking about support system. Like when I first got diagnosed, some friends and family that came out of the woodworks that I didn't expect to help in any way, they really were there for me. Other people who maybe I thought would be more helpful weren't. So you kind of learn some, a little bit about your friends and family and your support system. But for me, that was a key ingredient of how I felt I recovered as quickly as I did. And
Right.
again, I just had surgery 8 weeks ago. And again, great friends and support system. I didn't need as much aftercare. But, to know you've got people that care about you or count on you and vice versa. Relationships are one of the key things, no matter what you're doing in life, that are going to help you through any situation, especially a negative one. Is that
Right.
kind of what we're referring to in the support system, Michelle?
Yeah, support systems are really important. I know a lot of survivors will tell me that their family, members of their family took off on them, abandoned them emotionally, psychologically. This is something that as a support group we're going to address down the road, and maybe even with our webinars, Andrea, we could talk about that. What happens to our family?
Right.
Then again, I can say without hesitation that what happens to our family is called fear. We're talking about it right now, but with family members, it's a little bit different perspective. Support system is important. Faith is important too. If you don't have a faith system, I'm not judging anyone here when I say this, but if you don't have a faith system, maybe you can go to someone and say, what do you believe in, really? I mean, for example, then I can close with this, Andrea. For example, my faith is a very strong faith. I'm a God-believing kind of person, okay? Um, I, at one time, really had an issue with dying, okay? I
Sure.
was afraid of dying.
Right.
And so what happened was when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, okay, now it's in my face. Now I have no choice. Now I have these glasses caused me to have this glare, excuse me. But no, my fear of dying, I had to address it. And I had to analyze my own fear of why am I afraid of dying. My belief system is strong enough where I feel that, the fear of death itself, there's no fear for me here. Why am I afraid then? And I came right down to the fact that I don't want to leave my children, my son.
Right. Right.
That's
And
my
I,
fear of dying and leaving him in a lurch or
right.
without anyone. And so once you identify your fear, then you can rely on your faith system to get you through the next couple of ways. I just want to say that, if you don't have people in your family to be there for you, find people who will be there for you. And if you can't find anyone there for you and your family, look at different faith systems. Maybe within a faith system you can find someone and maybe make a new family.
Right.
You
Well, get
know?
the thoughts that there's going to be people that are going to support you. Go out and take the action and do it. So
Yep.
again,
Reach
you
out.
know,
You have to do that. It's better
yeah.
than just sitting in your pity party situation. And pity parties don't do you a bit of good.
No, we
Okay.
don't have time for that. Michelle and I aren't those kind of women. And, so, you mentioned, and we've talked about it. We talked about this week, and we talked about last week. So you're going to get thoughts. You got diagnosed with cancer. Of course, no one wants to hear that. So, of course, all kinds of thoughts and fears start going through your head, survival. And like I mentioned, I've been in survival mode for a long time. And I also realized I repressed a lot of feelings because for me to get through the breast cancer situation, I had to be kind of objective. Like, this is my diagnosis. My son is a year and a half old. My daughter's 9.5. How am I going to get through this and survive? Like you mentioned, we want to survive for ourselves, but also for our children and family.
Right.
And so there was a lot of fear. And I have a fear of surgery and anesthesia, and I had multiple surgeries. So every time I had to have that, the fear that I'm not going to wake up from surgery, or that I'm going to die of cancer, all these different fears go through your head. So what I'm suggesting, and Michelle, I think also, Find a way for you to get through that. Focus on something else. Focus on the happy times with your children or whatever it will be for you to take positive actions on a daily basis to push through that fear and get to the other side. And think about maybe the end result. What is it you want? You know, maybe some of you are in bed and you can't get out of bed. Well, then, sorry, I'm getting a call. It's coming through my computer. Well, what would be an action today? So you're afraid to do whatever, or you're afraid, you know, you're going to hurt yourself, or you're afraid you're going to get sick, or you're going to relapse. So switch the mentality. What if it doesn't happen? And what if tomorrow's an even better day and you feel great? And what kind of actions can you take to feel great? You know, maybe move a little more today than you did yesterday. You know the things to do to take care of yourself, and the body wants to heal. So push yourself forward every day to take positive actions, meditate, exercise, eat better, supplement, lose weight, whatever it is. You know all those pieces, and they all emotional. So the emotional major component, but they all fit together, and that's what we're trying to help ourselves and other people with. So, Michelle, I think we're about to wrap it up. Did you have any closing words? I do want to say you could find me. The best way to contact me is on Facebook. So it's Andrea, and then it's SCHNEIDER. And I also have a Facebook group called Health and Wealth. So you can find me under their search. And I know Michelle is on Facebook as well. That's probably the best way to reach both of us.
Yep.
And you know, we're pretty available on the internet. So if you find us, you know, friend request us, and we'll continue the contact. Michelle?
Yep, that's pretty much the same thing for me too. Is if you want to get a hold of me, you can look under Michelle, Michelle. Losen Speaks, LOSENSPEAKS, and then Haner, HANER. I do have a Facebook page. You can leave me a message on there. I check my messages, and if you have any questions, particularly about our webinars, feel free, because I know Andrea is just, you know, as excited as I am to help anyone out. If your family member has breast cancer, has just been diagnosed, please do not suffer through this alone. Please reach out to us. Let us help you.
Right, right. So find us, ladies. We're out there. Look on Facebook, message us, and we will see you again soon. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got something out of it, and let us know. We'll be posting this out in the public. If there's specific topics you want us to talk about, Michelle and I are open to suggestions. So have a wonderful, abundant day, ladies, and take care of yourselves. All right, Michelle, I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you later, Andrea.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
You too, bye-bye.